Welcome to Accounting High.
We need to figure out ways to increase revenue without necessarily increasing our overhead costs. We need to figure out ways to be more efficient, to outsource non-core functions, right? So that's one thing. If you have a full-time in-house HR person or full-time in-house accountant, you can go out and outsource those and save money. A lot of times you've got people sitting around that are just waste. So just reevaluate. I would go through every single team member, every single function on your org chart and figure out, do we really need this full-time employee, or can we outsource a piece of this function and generate some savings here?
I would just say it would really benefit you to be working with an accountant for some of these long-term strategies, because we've seen this a lot.
Check out the Cashflow show. We discuss topics like getting paid on time, profitability, and managing your bottom line, payroll best practices, the best apps to use, and cash flow forecasting tools. So if you're a small business owner, your help's right around the corner. Fret not. Tune in as Scott and Nikole help you reach your goals on the Cashflow show. The Cashflow show. Listen and learn. We'll show you how to pay yourself on what your business earns. With Nikole and OKR.
What's up, Nikole?
Hey, Scott.
We got a quick episode for y'all here that we're gonna turn things around a little bit. Last week we talked about what to do if you have too much cash. Well, I think that the more important issue at hand is what happens if you don't have enough cash? What happens when you're running out of money?
Yeah, this is not a situation that we hope you ever have to be in, but it happens a lot. And at Momentum, we've been in situations where we've had to help clients turn their business around, right? Where it gets to the point where they have to make drastic changes, or the alternative is shutting down or bankruptcy. So episode 21, we are starting our turnaround series. We only have 15 minutes to record today, so this is just going to be a quick, high-level summary of everything. And then during this series, we will dig deeper into certain areas here.
Yeah, we're here to help you. If you feel like you're drowning in cash flow issues, help is on the way. Let's go.
Let's go.
Immediate actions. What are the things immediately that you should do if you're running out of money?
Okay, so the first thing we want to do is just step back and look at everything for a minute, okay? First, we want to get your financials out. We want to go through and start looking at all of your expenses. So we're going to identify essential expenses that need to be paid immediately. So typically that's like payroll and critical suppliers, right? And then we're going to go out to any non-essential vendors and see what we can do to either cut costs or delay payment. You may go out to your landlord.
So we're doing triage right now. We're going through. This is like you hit the hospital and you triage. What is the most important things that need to be addressed first, right?
Yep. So payroll is obviously number one. And then we're going to start going through and cut. What do we not need? Who can we get on the phone with and ask if we can delay payment? Key here is just communication, right? We want to get in front of people ahead of it with whether it be a creditor and you can't pay your debt payment. What we don't want is your bank to call your loan, right? So if you're at this point, you probably already have a loan. If you're at this, and we'll get into, if you don't have a loan, you can get one or how to get one. But we want to go out and communicate with anybody who has a stake in your business, whether that be suppliers, whether that be a landlord, whether that be employees, creditors. Just get out in front of it and see what you can do to negotiate better terms or reduction in costs.
One of these two is make sure you collect money that's past due. I think that probably should have been happening already, but call in some of your debts. Call in some money, people that owe you money.
This happens all the time. I've seen businesses but just like not paying attention to their receivables. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I need to get on the phone and like start showing up to people's offices and get paid. So hopefully, again, you have good invoicing hygiene and collection hygiene. But if you don't, obviously go out and get what everybody owes you.
And then we have some short-term strategies and other long-term strategies that we'll go over. So what are some of the short-term financing options for a business owner?
Yeah. So short-term financing options, if you don't already have a line of credit, you can apply for a business line of credit. SBA has some quick loans I know you can get. I'm not super familiar with all the SBA loans, but I know there are some ones that you can get very quickly. Business line of credit, I know some banks, like it's less of an application process if it's under a certain amount. Like some banks, if it's under 50,000, you can get it pretty easily versus if it's over a certain amount. So go talk to your bank, see what options they have available and which ones are the quickest. There's also invoice financing. So that's basically if you have
Is that factoring?
There's different types of invoice financing. Factoring is one of them. We could probably get into a deeper episode on that, but basically that means
we are talking about dire straits issues here. So things that you have no other choice at this point.
Yeah. So in some business models, either you can get PO financing like on a purchase order or invoice, basically showing, hey, I have this money coming in. I sent out the invoice, and then based on what you have outstanding, the bank or lender will give you a line of credit based on your invoice values.
Ask some friends and family.
Yes. So if you have personal savings, if you need to, you might have to take a HELOC on your home. Obviously, you don't want to be in that situation that you're impacting your personal livelihood. But if you need to, that's available cash, right? Friends, family, personal savings, or a HELOC. You know, you can also you can take out like if you paid your car off too, you can get a loan on your car at any time. Yeah. Any assets. Yeah. Something like that.
That's an asset.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's all kinds of ways to leverage any assets that you currently have. What are some of the other long-term strategies?
So usually when we're helping a client turn around, the reason they get themselves in a cash flow crunch like this is because they've had sustained losses, meaning they have not made a profit for many, many months. And so they are cutting into their cash reserves. They're using bank money to basically run the business rather than their own profits. So we need to figure out ways to increase revenue without necessarily increasing our overhead costs. We need to figure out ways to be more efficient, to outsource non-core functions, right? So that's one thing. If you have a full-time in-house HR person or full-time in-house accountant, you can go out and outsource those and save money. A lot of times you've got people sitting around that are just waste. So just reevaluate. I would go through every single team member, every single function on your org chart and figure out, do we really need this full-time employee, or can we outsource a piece of this function and generate some savings here?
I would just say it would really benefit you to be working with an accountant for some of these long-term strategies, because we've seen this a lot. So we can start looking at some of these longer-term ways to help. So
a lot of times businesses get in this situation because they don't have financials or they're trying to DIY it. And so if you work with an accountant, yes, it costs money, but you'll also have data in front of you that you can use to make decisions and stay profitable rather than get yourself into the situation.
It's time and time again, you invest money on the front end to save money and problems on the back end.
Yeah. One thing we're doing right now, because we've got a big project rolling off. So we have a bunch of excess capacity coming up next month. So I've met with the team. I'm like, okay, which of our clients could use more, of our services? So I'm going out trying to upsell, cross-sell, see what I can squeeze more out of our current portfolio. We're doing promotions which we usually don't do projects work. We usually do recurring. But because I just hired 2 new people and we have this project dropping off, we have a whole bunch of excess capacity. So I just sent out a promotional email that's like, we're doing projects now, right? So being proactive. I
saw that email. I saw a big project email, and then all of the discounts you were offering, I was cringing the whole way. Didn't think you should have done that, but we'll see how it goes. We can talk about it on the show to see how it worked out. We'll do a post-op afterwards.
I did have a large prospect that I talked to at the end of last year that wasn't quite ready, that booked a call. So we'll see. Maybe it's going to, even all it takes is one.
Right. No, that's great. I wish you the best of luck with that. So other things we can do.
No one wants to talk about this, but layoffs, right? We may need to let people go. So that'd be cutting costs. That's probably, your biggest expense is going to be your people. So unfortunately, that's the reality of that.
Let's talk about not growing a crappy business. and reviewing your business model and making sure that you're not sustainably losing money. That'll never last. So if your business is losing money left and right, you got to review your business model.
Right. We don't want to go out and get lending or invest in marketing if our margins are not scalable.
And then we'll help you put some things into place. And we'll talk about things you can put into place to prevent this from happening again. So you're back in episode 20 and not episode 21. 21 is where you don't want to be, but we fear that most business owners are closer to episode 21 than they are to 20. And what I mean is too much cash. Yeah.
Let's see. Last thing in the long-term strategies is to consider raising equity by selling shares in your business, right? So getting investors, which is never fun to give up equity in your business, but in times when it gets real bad, you may consider that as an option.
Let's quickly go some of these preventative measures to prevent future problems. Building a cash reserve.
We talk about that, building cash reserve, right? So having that zero line that we talk about all the time. And then regularly monitoring a cash flow forecast. So if your business is very tight on cash, you should have somebody helping you regularly with a cash flow forecast that you look at weekly, maybe even daily, depending on how tight you are. So we've got a couple tools we help clients with there to make sure you're always making payroll. Diversify revenue streams. So we talked about this in another episode too, about like customer concentration. You can also have revenue stream concentration. So a lot of times when a business all of a sudden flips, it's because they've got too many eggs in one basket. So make sure you're reducing your risks there.
Lean on your relationships too, because that's what's going to, the triage we were talking about earlier is calling up suppliers and calling up vendors and seeing if you can negotiate terms. If you've invested in those relationships up front and you have pretty strong relationships with the people closely, you've invested the time to get to know somebody, that you'll see that people are more understanding. When you ask something of them, they're more apt to reply and care about the success of your business because they have a personal relationship with you.
Yeah, I can tell you that from having a client. So I have one client, he's been a client for like 6 years, one of our best clients. His business is super volatile. And so there's been times when they're making millions of dollars, and then there's times when they can't make payroll. And so there have been occasions where, like, typically, actually, he's my only client that we don't auto charge him. He actually just pays me every month. I send him an invoice and he pays. But we've built that rapport and I trust him, and he's shown over the years that even when he's owed me money, he's paid me. So that does go a long way, building relationships.
Yeah. You make exceptions to the rule. That's great. Well, students, thank you for tuning into the brief way to get out of some cash flow issues. And this is opening up a new chapter of the show. We're going to dive deeper to help you out if you have cash flow problems and cash is running low. So tune in, stay tuned. We're going to go further in the 20s. Leave us a review if you can on any of the podcast players. Spotify, you can tap the 5-star. Apple Podcast, you can write something too. Tap the 5-star. Write us a little note there. We'll read it on air.
Yeah, make our day. Please, please, please. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can go to momentumaccounting.com.
All right. And me, PadgettNC.com. Find us on LinkedIn. Peace out, homies. Class dismissed.
Bye.
Yeah. So you're drowning in cash flow issues. You run a business, but feel like it's running you. Customers won't pay, but you got bills due. It appears you won't have enough for payroll coming up soon. It seems like you running nowhere fast. You work hard, but never able to withdraw cash from the business. You get more customers, hire more employees, but still take home hardly anything. You feel like you're on a hamster wheel, frustrated cause the battle's always uphill. Even though you got a bookkeeper on your team, they send you reports, but you don't really know what they mean. Your CPA doesn't understand a thing about your business, at least that's how it seems. But if you want to get above water and grow, check out the Cashflow Show. This is the Cashflow Show, where we help the small business gain momentum and decompress. profitable. This is the Cashflow Show. Listen and learn. We'll show you how to pay yourself on what your business earns. Cashflow Show. Discuss topics like getting paid on time, profitability, and managing your bottom line, payroll best practices, the best apps to use, and cash flow forecasting tools. So if you're a small business owner, your help's right around the corner. Fret not. Tune in as Scott and Nikole help you reach your goals on the Cashflow Show. The Cashflow Show, where we help the small business gain momentum and become profitable. This is the Cashflow Show. Listen and learn. We'll show you how to pay yourself on what your business earns. Cashflow Show. Our advice will take you far. Cashflow Show. Tune in with Nikole and OKR.